Hello, my name is Jonathan Carpenter. I'm the Group Head of Strategy and Transformation at Petrofac. I'm here today to talk to you about how digital applications can be used to reduce the costs, downtime, and emissions on assets in the operation stage, and talk you through a little bit around our lessons learned along the way. So for those of you that don't know Petrofac, just a little bit about us. We're a services company with a range of capabilities that span the life cycle of projects in the energy sector. So from concept and feed engineering through to EPC delivery, operations and maintenance, wells management, training and decommissioning. We've been going for 39 years now, have about 11,500 employees around the world and present in 29 countries. And crucially, and I think quite importantly these days, we're on a journey to reduce our own emissions as well. We've reduced those 56% since 2015 and recently committed to being net zero from our Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions by 2030. So a little bit about our digital transformation journey, which we've been on now for about 3 years. We started with some quite bold ambitions. We wanted to make sure that the applications and of technology that we put into our business really drove value for ourselves and for our customers. So we focused them around a couple of main themes. One, how could we drive 100% uptime on the assets that we deploy these solutions on? Two, how can we kind of reduce the cost of projects? So aiming for about 50% of the kind of normal cost of a project. And thirdly, more recently, we added, how could we reduce the emissions footprint from our assets or from the assets that our clients operate by 50% or more. So in doing that and working with our operations and projects teams, we came up with a number of different ideas for applications, of which these 4 are now kind of up, live and running. And I'll talk you through some of the examples of how these are really driving value in practice. Petrofac Go is our mobilization and resourcing application, which allows you to drive down kind of cost and improve communication. Petrolytics is our artificial intelligence and machine learning enabled predictive maintenance analytics tool. We use Digital Twin, which creates a digital representation of the physical asset. And then our connected worker solution effectively digitalizes the work steps and the operations flows that operators do on the assets today. Ultimately, all of these applications were very much designed in trying to achieve or get us closer to those big goals around uptime, project cost, and emissions. So first, Petrofac Go. So the kind of main elements of it, each worker is able to download an application, and that application allows them to pick up jobs. So we can, based on their profile, their competencies, their experience, we can kind of push them job opportunities. When they accept it, it then takes them into a workflow that shows them which hotel they need to be at, which heliport they need to go to, all the details of the job. We're adding in functionality so they can do their PPE ordering, time cards, and expenses there as well, and has a communication portal with our administration team that ensures that the right information gets to the workers at the right times. And if anything changes, we can update them in real time. And so the admin team onshore, they've got access to this desktop app, and so they can see very quickly which workers have read the updates, have accepted them, and very quickly kind of push new information as it arises. And this has been critical in maintaining our kind of operations through the COVID-19 crisis in particular, and ensuring the safety of all our crews and people that we move around, particularly in the North Sea. Obviously, there's a big cost efficiency gain here as well. That admin team used to be much larger. It's now considerably smaller as we are able to use this kind of automated functionality to improve how we deliver. And also in doing that, we're ensuring that people are actually turning up to the heliport and taking those flights, so we don't have to put on extra helicopter flights, have extra kind of hotel space, which also reduces the emissions footprint. Then on to Petrolytics. So Petrolytics, a predictive maintenance analytics tool, starts with basically connecting into your asset, connecting into its kind of control systems, into the kind of monitoring systems around the asset, and then starts to understand that data and pull it out and present it in such a way that makes the asset manager and the operations team able to make better and quicker decisions. So it starts there, and then you get to the kind of clever bit with the artificial intelligence and machine learning. So this is where the tool uses a kind of basic process flow type diagram and looks for 2 things. It looks for anomalies. So we set for each piece of equipment what the normal operating parameters for that equipment should be. So if the operating conditions start to fall outside that range, it then starts to flag that as a risk. the machine learning element also then looks at the historic performance of that asset and is able to look at the patterns of performance, kind of control system inputs, outputs that predicted previous failures. And so when those patterns of operations start to be seen, again, the risk score goes up. The very clever bit about Petrolytics then is it will identify up to 10 days in advance with a very high degree of accuracy when specific pieces of equipment will fail, and it allows you to drill down to what the actual kind of root cause of that will be. So it's the compressor that's going to fail, but it will drill you down to say actually it's the dry gas seal that will probably be the failure mode, and then it will actually suggest to you what you can do about that. So would you like to replace the dry gas seal, grease it, or do nothing? And then if you choose to replace it or grease it, it'll help you organize the crew, the operations, the logistics to enable that application, that fix to be done. What we've also then started to look at recently is, now that we're kind of plugged into those assets, actually start to pull out their energy usage and their emissions, and start again to monitor that so that we understand what operational modes, what actions, what activities are driving the emissions footprint, which then allows us to work with the operations team to understand what we can do to actually start to reduce that. And we're starting to put in intelligent triggers around the operating parameters and performance of the asset and decisions being taken such that we can support the operations team in reducing their overall emissions footprint. So how's this actually kind of driving value for our clients? Well, first of all, it allows you to make better decisions quicker. So understanding behaviors and how they kind of progress and how they're impacting on the performance of the equipment and the asset itself. It gets those insights to the right people at the right time, which is obviously quite crucial, and enables kind of proactive kind of maintenance and engagement on the asset, which obviously avoids asset downtime, which has a knock-on effect to things like flaring as well. So you're also avoiding not only lost production, but you're reducing your emissions footprint as well. Obviously, by being integrated into the supply chain system and your kind of work order system, the whole process is also much more efficient and effectively closes the loop. So the whole process, you go from identifying kind of root cause issues, doing something about it, and then recording what you've done as well, so that you can learn for the future. The net result is, millions of dollars of production losses being avoided, and if you've got a commercial contract structure in place that allows you to benefit from that, potentially more value to the kind of contractors working on that as well. So then our third solutions, which often go kind of hand in hand together, is around the use of digital twins and our connected worker platform, and integrated with that our kind of automated reporting system. So the digital twin takes the physical asset. We take photo scans of the asset, which are accurate down to 1 to 2 millimeters, which creates that virtual representation. And then we can overlay with that multiple layers of data, which allow for much easier searching of asset information, as all of the tags are effectively linked through across multiple data sources, which means you can do all of your planning, all of your preparation for kind of work onshore rather than having to go offshore, find out there's a pipe there which wasn't on the as-built drawings, and then have to replan the job again. Again, start saving on both obviously cost and time to deliver, but also on the emissions footprint of having to fly people back and forth to assets. In terms of the execution of those jobs then, we use our connected worker platform. So this is the digitalization of the actual kind of workflow, the steps that a worker, an operator does to deliver a task. And what we found is by doing that, by just pointing a kind of process efficiency lens at doing those operations, one, we've made those operations kind of more efficient, but two, it gives us a much higher degree of assurance. Plus the camera functionality associated with those tablets, be they handheld or helmet mounted, allows you to do over-the-shoulder support. So if the operator runs into a problem, you can effectively phone a friend or an expert that could be onshore in Aberdeen, but it could be onshore in Houston or sat on the beach in Thailand for a week, and get the right information, the right kind of technical input or support at the right time to ensure that the job is closed out as quickly as possible. And then thirdly, whereas today those operators doing those tasks would take a kind of dirty paper copy of an inspection report or a maintenance log, mark it up as they did the job, and then come back to the office, type it all in, add some photos. It's quite a manual and intensive process. Obviously, the digitalization of the work steps allows you to automatically populate a report, attach the photos, attach any video evidence, and then start to collate all of that information in a structured way, in a consistent kind of data format, that allows you to draw further insights and automatically then links into your maintenance system, such that if you were to identify any anomalies and remedial action required, you can automatically create work orders to get after that task immediately. So again, what we've seen as we've started deploying this in practice is increases in productivity of 100 to 200% in doing the types of inspection and maintenance tasks, which has led to a 40 to 50% cost reduction versus budget for those clients. So quite a fantastic step change in performance. So what have we learned along the way? A few key learnings that we've seen as we've kind of gone through this digital transformation process and started really to kind of roll these applications out at scale in our operations as well. So first of all, drive from the top is key. This is a new area. It's a little bit unknown. You've got to take a little bit of a leap of faith the first time you make an investment to put these things in. So having strong kind of sponsorship and support from senior management, both in kind of head office and kind of locally, is pretty critical to ensuring that you get the benefit and you get the kind of time and patience to really try this out and prove the value of it. Sometimes these things do take a little bit of time, so having that patience and that kind of top cover is pretty critical. Secondly, we've noticed that lots of people focus on kind of small MVPs or proof of concepts. The trick really to really drive the value in delivery is to think about how these things scale up and how they go across kind of whole portfolios. You don't get stuck in the kind of concept or MVP stage. You get to really push on the boundaries of what you can do with those applications and drive the kind of scale effect that you get as a result of that. I think the third thing then is really focus on value. The technology is great. There's lots of amazing technologies out there, but ultimately, if they can't improve your bottom line impact, your revenue line, your uptime, your safety performance, or reduce your emissions footprint, ultimately, what's the point? You're spending money on something that hasn't actually delivered that value for you. So there has to be a kind of laser focus on the value and assuring that you can receive that value, and if you're a contractor, also kind of get some benefit from that value that you provide the client as well. Obviously, much easier in a client's shoes. And to really kind of focus on that, as we said at the beginning, we've had quite big kind of overarching goals, our kind of North Star that we keep trying to head towards. And we found that's a very useful kind of tool and mechanism to keep driving our teams to look at what else can they do to really get that continuous improvement mindset built into this way of working. One of the other kind of crucial things that we found in terms of getting good adoption of the applications that we've developed is involving the guys who will actually be using these applications right from the beginning. So we did a lot of workshopping, kind of day in the life, kind of process flows with the guys actually on the assets who do the jobs, do the inspections, do the project delivery, to really understand wherever their pain points and what different types of technologies could be used to address those kind of pain points or opportunities. As a result of that, we've seen a really fantastic adoption rate and engagement. And they've actually been, one of our biggest sources of ideas, opportunities, and kind of feedback and input into the products and the applications as we've developed them. And they're really, very big champions now for a lot of the work that we're doing. Finally, I think there's a recognition that you need to kind of stay fairly agile, both in development. These are obviously kind of software and technology development. So, the path isn't always a kind of linear one to get to the solution or to the value that you're looking for, but also be aware of the kind of commercial implications. Once you've got a greater assurance, a greater efficiency, you can start to move from more classic delivery and kind of time and materials based type kind of contracting structures to outcome based solutions, which can create a win-win both for the kind of contractor delivering, but also for the operator who gets better assurance around the outcome that they're going to get. And with that, I think I'll finish, and I look forward to engaging with you all in the panel session later. Thank you very much.